Hello, I'm Locke Meredith. I'd like to invite you to join me on the next Legal Lines, where my guest is East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff Sid Gautreaux. The sheriff's going to talk to us about the response of the Sheriff Department while COVID's still going on. He's going to talk to us about the need for more prisons. He's going to talk to us about a huge opioid bust and the need for more support given the open borders and the unlimited immigration, it appears. So join us on the next Legal Lines with Sheriff Sid Gautreaux.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates. Open the phone book or look online. There are plenty of lawyers to choose from. And if you ask any of them, they'll agree that the vast majority of claims settle without ever having gone to trial. And I'll tell you, any lawyer can settle a claim. It's not hard to settle a claim, but it takes hard work to get a client what he or she deserves. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates, we have a proven record of working hard for our clients. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
Hello, welcome to Legal Lines. I'm very pleased to have back on the show East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff Sid Gautreaux. Sid, it's fantastic. I'm sorry I can't help but stand up and shake your head.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And you know, last time we talked, COVID was kind of in the big phase.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to find out, how are we? I know there's still some, I guess, restrictions or concerns, but where are we?
Well, with the Sheriff's Office, I can tell you that we've come through this thing much better than we expected to. You know, as Sheriff,
It's good news.
Well, it is. It's very good news. But, you know, we followed all the guidelines people were putting out. Our HR department worked great with all of our people and with doctors and hospitals, and to make sure that we were doing the right thing. And we all did. We had to keep our functions going. You know, as sheriff, I wear 3 hats, as you well know.
Right.
I got the civil office, the criminal office, and corrections, and all 3 are big operations. You know, we got 835 people with annual budget around $94 million.
And how much did you say you take in taxes, property taxes?
We collect right about $500 million each year on property tax.
I mean, it's a huge enterprise.
It is.
I mean, it blows my mind how big it is.
We were worried about all of our employees with COVID, so we did this everything we could for all of them. Thank God, we only lost 1 deputy through this whole process. Now, we have another one that's not doing well at all, and our prayers are with him and his family, but we only lost 1 deputy, and that deputy worked at a prison in transportation. We were very fortunate in the fact that and I can't say enough about the warden and his staff and all of the people that work out there. You know, they like the people that work in hospitals. They, you know,
they're there. They got to be there.
They got to be there. 24/7. They have to be there. And the warden put things in place like getting wings of the prison set up for isolation, or just people that had to stay quarantined for 14 days or whatever. And we did a lot of good things there, but we only lost 1 prisoner, and that's unbelievable with that confined environment. Now we had a bunch of our deputies that came down with COVID, but they recovered, thank God. Like I say, we only lost 1 of them, and we had a bunch of inmates that came down with COVID, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been, or what we were afraid it would be when it first started. And that's because of the efforts of the people that were working out there and everybody that's worked in the office. So I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful that that's all we lost.
We're talking about the prison. It's been on the burner for a long time about the need for a prison, because you guys at a time were completely maxed out.
Right.
I know that there have been attempts to reduce the prison population.
That's right.
For multiple reasons. Most immediately was the COVID, to reduce the folks' exposure there everywhere, both guards and everybody else. And then also there's been reform, judicial reform that has been taking place to try and reduce the population, because the bottom line is it costs.
That's right.
Tens of thousands of dollars to house folks, and it doesn't always help everybody. So,
and you're right.
Where are we on the whole prison?
Well, right now, as you know, I've been advocating a new prison for years and years and years. When I started my career with the Sheriff's Office back in '75, I worked in that prison. The same prison that was there then is the same one that's there now. That prison was built back in the mid-'60s. and it houses approximately half of our inmate population. Then the newer prison was built in the 80s, and it houses roughly the other half of the population. It's not that the newer prison is in deplorable shape. It is, but it wasn't built back in the 80s with modern concepts and designs to house prisoners in a more efficient manner for their safety as well as the safety of the deputies that are working in that prison. The old part, however, there's nothing they can do with it. I mean, the city parish at one point did a study, and I mean, it's recommended. The only thing they could do with that part of the prison is really tear it down because the infrastructure's crumbling and everything else. But you know, we mandated we can run 1,500 and I think it's 1,584 prisoners there. We're mandated by federal law, and once we exceed that number, we have to send all of those inmates out of parish to be housed in other facilities.
And paying for it.
And it's cost, since I've been sheriff going on 14 years, I can look back and it's cost us anywhere from $6 to $7 million a year, all the way up to 1 year was $11 million. So it costs the taxpayer money that we shouldn't be having to spend that kind of money to do those kind of things. And
you mentioned that you thought there was a way potentially to put something together here?
Yeah, and we're talking about it with city leaders right now. We're talking about it with other people that are community leaders and so forth. We're talking about it with the chamber. We're talking about Baton Rouge Area Foundation and others. And we're talking to the community, and we're going to be out in the community more and more because going back, though, before I continue with that, going back to what we were talking about, what was done to reduce the prison population. One thing I did once this thing started, I said we're not going to accept any more misdemeanor charges in the prison. That's just, with COVID, it was exposing people unnecessarily to COVID, and it was just overcrowding our system. That is something that's been advocated for a long time. Now, let me preface that though. If it's a violent misdemeanor,
that was my next question.
domestic violence or something like that, we're going to accept them. But if it's just a misdemeanor for minor infractions, we're not booking people on that anymore. And I did it really mainly because of COVID, and I did it secondary for trying to reduce the prison population, which everybody's trying to do. But I don't think I'll ever go back to booking just all misdemeanors.
So it's interesting, the District Attorney Hiller Moore and I were talking earlier, just that prisons are not the best place for someone to go because they come out apparently having learned additional new illegal skills or criminal behavior sometimes.
That's right.
And recidivism rate is sky high, so you're not solving
not at all
the problem. You're potentially making it worse. That person's more exposed, I guess, to bad behavior.
They are, and you know, we have done everything we can possibly do with this facility we have to work with to try to rehabilitate people. It's been a big part of me and who I am and the warden and his staff. You know, when I took office, we had 2 self-help programs to help prisoners try to rehabilitate. We got over 20-something now. If we had the facility, which gives us what we call program space to educate,
house them.
we would have we'd have more than that. You know, we'd have more programs than that. But we started a faith-based wing, and they said, well, you can't do that. Well, I went around to sheriffs across the country and said, how did you do it? What were the obstacles? What were the things? So, you know, we've had it since we've been in there. That's a tremendous help. We started a GED wing. We graduated hundreds with GEDs. We could do more, but.
All right, well, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith, Legal Lines, with my special guest, Sheriff of East Baton Rouge Parish, Sid Gautreaux. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we know this, and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. When insurance companies have been unfair, we've never been afraid to go to trial. Fighting hard to protect your rights, we never settle a case out of convenience. We only settle when it's right for you. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
I'm lawyer Collins Locke Meredith. Trust is important when hiring an injury law firm. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan Associates, thousands have trusted us and gotten the results they deserved. Visit us at LockeMeredith.com. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. I'm pleased to have back on the show Sheriff Sid Gautreaux for East Baton Rouge Parish. Sid, let's dive back in. So we were talking about the need for a new prison. There's kind of some maneuvering taking place, hopefully in a positive way that could help in that regard. Tell me what else there is to know.
Well, where we left off with the programs and stuff that we have, and you said it, Locke, we can't continue to do the same things we're doing and expect the positive results that we'd like. You just can't put somebody in jail and not give them the tools they need to reform, to do good in the public, to make it on their own and stuff. So, you know, the programs that we have are a good start, and I don't think there's any other sheriff in the state that has as many as we do. But we got to do so much more, you know, and we're limited with that facility. And we're not trying, like I said, we're not trying to see how many people we can put in jail.
Right.
We want to reduce that. I mean, that doesn't you know, and
anything.
Putting people in jail without giving them the tools that they need to help them when they get out is ludicrous, because they're only going to come out in a lot of cases worse than they were. They're going to go back to the same environment and doing the same things they did before they were arrested.
And primarily we're talking about nonviolent
That's
folks.
right.
The violent
That's right.
folks, we want them off the
Yeah,
street.
there's people that need to go to jail. It's just they need to, the rest of society, they need to be protected from those individuals. But you know, you're right. I mean, we just cannot keep doing the same thing and expect different results. So, a new facility, a modern facility built with the standards of today's prison system would help us out tremendously in all of those things. And one thing I didn't even touch on yet, and I will real quick, the other things that we're faced with, we need a mental health wing in that prison that we don't have. We need that dire straits on that, because the number of mentally ill people that are being incarcerated today have jumped exponentially.
Is it because of Earl K. Long being shut
Earl
down?
K. Long, Greenville Springs, when the previous administration, state administration shut down all of the mental facilities, it just put those people on the streets. They wind up getting arrested for some minor offense, or nobody wants them, nobody, you know, and law enforcement doesn't have any choice when we get called.
Or the
things like that.
capacity to
That's
house
right.
them.
The Bridge Center that we have will help with that.
It is
with
open
that.
now, right?
It's open now, and it's a start, and it's a great start.
But it's very limited.
It's very limited. We got so many more. Demand for that place is so much greater than what we have there. But it is a start, and I'm
So one of the
thankful
ways
for that.
to solve that issue is a new prison with I guess the resources and a wing
have the
dedicated
people
for
working
those
for that, and we need that. We need a chemical dependency wing as well, which we don't have, and we need more healthcare providers in there to accomplish those things. We got an infirmary more or less at the prison, but like I say, that part was built back in the 60s, and it's just not.
It's antiquated.
It's antiquated, and it's not what we need to serve that prison population. So, you know, but the way it's going to have to be done, the only way it can be done, is going back to the voters to pass the bond to address this. And I'm not talking about just the adult facility. I'm talking about the juvenile facility too, because everything I've said in relation to the adult facility, the juvenile facility was built the same time in the 60s. So we need to take care of all of those things and make sure that we're doing what we need to be doing.
Sheriff, is there a chance with what I'm hearing, $8 trillion infrastructure bill that may be coming at us in one way, form, or another, any possibility of grant money coming from the feds to help this thing go?
We haven't been able to procure any to the degree of what we need to do it.
How much would it cost?
The last time I looked, and Baton Rouge Area Foundation is still doing a lot of work into that. It was going to cost in the neighborhood of somewhere around $35–40 million to do that.
And you said the state, in our private conversations, has actually offered in the past.
The state has offered us a land where a prison is there now, has been a prison there for 50-something years, up on Highway 61 by Groom Road, just outside of Baker. And like I said, it's been a prison there for 50-something years.
600 acres, you
Yeah,
said.
and they were going to
Huge.
donate 600 acres with no cost to the parish, where we could relocate the prison and build it there. And it's a perfect location for it. And you know, they're housing a lot of the women there now that came from St. Gabriel, you know, when they had the problems down there, that they had to vacate that. But they were also talking about building a brand new juvenile facility there, the state is. But that would save this taxpayers a tremendous amount of money, not having to look and having to go in and invade some area and say, we want to put a prison here. And naturally, if you got a bunch of people living around, they're not going to be happy with that. But there is people living in the area of where this prison is, but it's been there for 54
They're used to
years. Been there 50-something years.
They knew
That's
what they
right.
were getting.
Right.
Well, even if it started, the prison was going to start construction today. It's going to take
Be a 4-year process probably. Be
quite a bit of time.
3 or 4 years.
So we got to get this ball rolling.
Yeah, and I've said it, and people think, well, you're just trying to scare us, but it's not scaring, it's the truth.
Well, our
It's only a
population
matter-
has hugely increased.
I am shocked that it hadn't happened before now. It's only a matter of time before the feds come in and they're going to shut it down and say, tell us what you're going to build, how you're going to build it, how you're going to run it. And you know, all of those things take it out of locals' hands, and it's going to cost us a whole lot more money that we're going to have to pay to have a prison system, an adequate prison system that way than it is for us to do it ourselves.
Basically, what the EPA did as it related to emissions a while back, as I recall, forced the city to undertake certain infrastructure improvements.
Right.
Let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Opioid epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, it's decimating a lot of folks. I read since, I think in the last 4 or 5 years, that it's almost doubled the overdose deaths.
It has, and it's getting worse. You know, unfortunately, we have overdoses every week, and they go back to opioids, just about every case. And it is, that in itself, we talk about the COVID pandemic. This is a pandemic in itself with the amount of deaths that are occurring not only in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but across the United States. It is an epidemic, and it's a problem that has to be dealt with. And you know, you deal with it in 2 different ways. I mean, people that are on drugs, hooked to drugs, addicts, they have to have the private facilities or the public facilities, people out there who are providing health care providers, inviting, you know, places these people can go to get the help they need and try to get them off of these drugs and reform them in that way. And that's a big part of this. We don't have enough of that. There's not enough of those facilities out that exist here today that really can address the magnitude of the problem that we have.
All right, well, we'll pick this up on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith, Legal Lines, Sheriff Sid Gautreaux, the East Baton Rouge Parish. We'll be right back.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. When insurance companies have been unfair, we've never been afraid to go to trial. Fighting hard to protect your rights, we never settle a case out of convenience. We only settle when it's right for you. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we know this, and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
I'm lawyer Collins Locke Meredith. Trust is important when hiring an injury law firm. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan Associates, thousands have trusted us and gotten the results they deserved. Visit us at LockeMeredith.com. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555.
Hello, welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. I'm very pleased to have back on the show East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff Sid Gautreaux. We were talking about kind of the pandemic resulting, or epidemic resulting from overdosing on the opioids, and deaths have increased, from what I read, almost 50% or more in the last 5 years or so. Tell me how we're tackling that. I know one side of that equation is shutting down the flow of that stuff coming in, the access to it.
Well, that's what our narcotics unit is focused on doing. We work with other agencies. We work with the DEA. We have 5 deputies that actually signed to a DEA task force. We have interdiction deputies that work the interstates along with the federal agencies, and that's what we're doing. And I can't give my narcotics division enough credit for what they do. They work hard and tirelessly in a dangerous job, but the fruits of their labor are coming forth. And you know, our philosophy, and it ties back in, I've already talked about what people, the addicts, need, but what we really go after is the dealers. And the bigger the dealer, the better for us. And we've made some really tremendous drug busts over the last several months in regards to that.
I saw that list. It was incredible, Sheriff. All of these, I mean, I was blown away with just one of these categories, but it's 20 different drug busts. I mean, drugs that are involved in all this illegal use of drugs.
Very, very seldom.
Worth millions and millions.
That's right. That's right. Very seldom do we make a drug bust on that level that there's only one drug involved in it. And I brought some stats, if I may, just to tell you. And both of these cases occurred in the month of March. But one of the cases we made actually in March the 18th.
So that's last month.
Right. There was more than $1.5 million in cash and drugs, 12 guns, and 4 ballistic vests that was seized in that raid. One of the guns we put through NIBINs, which is ballistics test, is linked to a homicide that has occurred.
Locally or elsewhere?
It was in the region. That's all I can say right now.
Okay.
But one of those were linked back to a homicide from evidence collected at that homicide with ballistics. So
bad guys.
Right. But we seized in that one $623,000, 14 pounds of powder heroin, which had a street value of almost $500,000, 4.5 pounds of black tar heroin. That's about $160,000.
I've never heard of black tar heroin.
It's just in a different form.
Unbelievable.
2.5 pounds of fentanyl, and that's the most dangerous drug out there. It had a street value about $84,000. 13 pounds of powder cocaine, $240,000 street value. 14 ounces of crack cocaine, which about $15,000. 1 pound of methamphetamine, 29 pounds of marijuana, 254 doses of Xanax, and 98 doses of hydrocodone. So those things.
Clearly a dealer.
Oh,
and they're big. They're got to be a big boy to have that variety of drugs.
That's right.
And used to destroy human beings.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
And you know, they had, like I say, they had a full-blown operation going, and it was tied into a lot of other individuals as well. But we made another one on March 27th.
Are these guys? I guess you can't answer my question.
No, this is a different.
Okay.
I can touch on what you want. I don't know where you're going, but here in March 27th, we made another major bust where we got 40 pounds of heroin, and that street value was over $1 million. It was $1.3 million. 2.4 pounds of fentanyl, $115,000. 1,600 pressed heroin pills, 4.7 pounds of suspected synthetic cutting agents, and a hydraulic kilo heroin press, and 1 semi-automatic handgun. And that resulted totally over $1.5 million of cash, heroin, and fentanyl. And those are just major things. But let me tell you.
Yeah, are you getting them? Are they coming from the South, from Texas, and I presume coming across the United States
and I'm
southern border?
That's right. I can't comment on which one, but we know they got cartel connections.
I mean, you got to figure with all that stuff.
Right.
Good
we
God
know for
Almighty.
a fact that they have in one case that they have ties to cartels.
Sid, what's terrifying is that guy we caught made those 2 busts, but think of all the stuff that comes across that we don't get.
That's right. In one of these cases, and and that's right, it's just that in itself is an epidemic, and it's killing people in the United States right here in Baton Rouge every day. What's the problem? And I mentioned how dangerous fentanyl is, extremely dangerous and lethal. The pill presses that I mentioned that we seized. In one of these cases, they had a pill press to make Xanax tablets, but they weren't Xanax, they were fentanyl. These kids take these things, not just kids, but other people get this stuff, they take it thinking they're taking one thing.
Are they trying to get them hooked on it, or are they trying to
I don't think they
them?
really care. I don't think they really care. They're just trying to sell product in any form that they can. And just like the heroin presses, pressing heroin pills. It's just crazy. I mean, they are going to find any kind of way that they can market their product or sell their product. And they don't really care what's in that product. And people are dying every day as we speak. Thousands across the United States every day from this it's got to be stopped. I don't know that we'll ever completely be able to just eradicate it, but we can do so much more.
What would you recommend be done additionally?
Well, I think more efforts need to be put in place. More personnel is needed. More equipment's needed to identify these individuals and deal with them. Narcotics investigations are very, very complex, and it takes a lot of time in most cases. Like I say, if you want to go out there and just bust users, you can do that every day, and we don't have near enough room in Parish Prison. That is part of the problem because we have a demand for it.
Right.
But the biggest problem is the supply. And, I've always contended that the United States government knows where this major suppliers of heroin, cocaine, all the stuff is coming from. They can mark it on a map and tell you it's coming from this area of this country or that country and what ports it's coming into. We've got the technology to really put a big, big stop to that stuff.
Well, I assume having this, this immigration position by the current administration is making this worse, not better.
I would agree with you. I don't think it's getting any better. When I talk to counterparts of sheriffs in Texas and so forth, and further, and we go to these seminars all the time and talk and share information, it's not getting any better, it's worse.
Well, thank God that y'all are there.
Yeah.
Sheriff, what are the, I want to kind of point out a good thing. Your closing rate on the homicides was what, 92%? And I just want to thank you for doing that. Locke Meredith of Legal Lines, Sheriff Sid Gautreaux, East Baton Rouge Parish. Thank you for being with us.